She's running for the United States Senate. It's a 6-year term. You need to get fully versed in what issues you're going to be dealing with. This isn't a get trained on the job.
Congressman Ralph Norman piling on South Carolina Senator Darline Graham after her tough debate performance last night. The pair vying to fill the Senate seat that was once held by Graham's late brother, Lindsey Graham. President Trump appointed Darline Graham to finish her brother's term and will campaign alongside her in South Carolina this Friday. Last night's debate now raising questions about whether the president's endorsement is going to be powerful enough to overcome moments like this one.
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States, and if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, but I do support the military. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years, so I will do everything I can to support the military. My dad was in the Army. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my thing, not my area of expertise, but I do support the military.
All right, my panel is back. Bakari Sellers, you're a former South Carolina state rep. Lindsey Graham was a lion of a figure. Obviously, his sister has been through a difficult time. That moment, what do you think it will mean for her candidacy? I'm not sure Bakari realizes that we're talking with him.
I got you now.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that. Yes. So what do you think this moment means for Darline Graham's candidacy?
Well, first of all, it was utterly embarrassing. I mean, I have a great deal of respect for someone going through a grieving process and someone who loses a family member, particularly with the relationship that she and Lindsey had. With that being said, man, that was the worst answer I've seen in a debate in a very, very long period of time. And we see people screw up debates all the time. The fact is, Donald Trump's about to go 0 for 3 in South Carolina, I do believe. He lost the governor's race. He lost the redistricting battle. And now he's about to lose this race with Darline Graham. We're a country that's in a wartime. I mean, you're talking about Ukraine. You're talking about Iran. You're talking about Gaza and Israel. And for you to get up there and not have some fundamental grasp, everyone in South Carolina has this secret that no one wants to say out loud, but her only qualification for being in the United States Senate is she was related to Lindsey Graham, which we all will tell you should not be a qualification for being elected to the United States Senate. I think Ralph Norman is going to be more in the line of Jim DeMint, so God bless South Carolina as we move forward. They should have elected Mark Sanford, but here we are.
Mark Sanford? Do you agree?
I had to go with Bakari on this one. But, it is tragic. You feel for her as a candidate. That's a very humbling moment. All the things that Bakari said as prelude is right. But I think it's a very damning moment in not only the debate, but in the campaign.
She confirmed many of the things that her opponents have been arguing, that she's not necessarily a Nepo baby, but a Nepo sister, and that she's not qualified for this. And you also have to remember, Lindsey Graham was always at risk of being primaried for basically the entire Trump era, and he just very deftly played his politics with Trump in order to avoid that. But, there is not necessarily super warm, enthusiastic feelings for Lindsey Graham among the Republican electorate. Now, maybe Trump's endorsement can overcome that, but she confirms some of the biggest critiques of herself.
Totally.
I think one of the things that was most damaging about it, just purely from a communications perspective, she seemed so uncomfortable. And voters, audiences will forgive you a whole lot. And frankly, I'm not a polished politician. Yeah. That can actually be effective. And sometimes voters kind of rally behind that and say, like, great, you're plain spoken. I don't need you to give me a treatise on the South China Sea. But she didn't pivot in a way that made it work for her at all. She didn't move to affordability or any other topic. She just kind of stood frozen. And that's, if you're a viewer watching that at home, it's actually the emotion of that is what kind of sticks with you and makes you feel uncomfortable on her behalf.
Well, and especially when, her brother had such a focus on national security.
Yeah,
and honestly, she had an easy answer available to her, which is he's got people around him, his staff, his former staff. She has people she can learn from. But to the point about voters being willing to forgive some moments, we have, and maybe this will help somebody like a Darline Graham today feel better. She's not the first person to screw up this way. Let's watch a selection of people having these tough moments.
And you could name him.
General, I can't name the general.
And it's
General.
What one specifically? I'm curious that you.
All of them, any of them that have been in front of me over all these years.
I know that he is the Mexican president.
But can you tell me his name?
No.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
You're kidding.
No.
It's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone. Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see.
But you can't name the third one?
The third agency of government, I would do away with the education, the commerce, and let's see. I can't. The third one I can't. Sorry.
Oops.
Oh man, I remember covering that. For Kate's sake, we didn't include the Biden Medicare.
I wasn't working for him at the time. No, it was no fault.
There were a few when you were working for him, but he still won.
I was going to say, we can pull up the ones when I was working for him because he won.
I think the difference here, though, is, to your point, it is reinforcing a precondition in terms of worry. Like, wait a minute. A lot of people, when you move around South Carolina, like, okay, Lindsay, you liked him, you didn't like him, but the idea of political nepotism, I think, scares a lot of people at home.
There's another aspect that women candidate, unfairly or fairly, I'll let people say it on their own, face a higher bar often from voters because they need to communicate that they are strong. And in that situation, her body language, her stammering over her words, she looked weak, and she's standing next to Ralph Norman, who's not well liked by a lot of Republicans in Washington, by the way, but is a sort of a big, imposing character, and that reinforces that weakness of hers and that relative strength.
And it is true, women candidates tend to face a higher hurdle also just in credentialing themselves. So there's the strength question, and then there's the credentialing question, which sort of goes to what you were saying. You know, she's already at a bit of a disadvantage on the idea of whether she's credentialed for this job. Kind of hard to argue she is, in my opinion. And so this is the kind of mistake that reinforces that.
Yep.
And Governor, where do you think the Trump endorsement is with the Republican electorate in South Carolina right now? I mean, his approval ratings are very low. He's lost, advantages on some of, if you look at the polling on immigration, even, which was, one of his strongest issues, it's now kind of gone away from him. But that said, obviously, South Carolina is a very conservative place. Do you think Trump endorsement for Darline Graham can overcome the moments like what we saw?
I'm beginning to doubt it. Make no mistake, he still has real juice in South Carolina. But if you look at what happened with the past governor's race and the fact that she didn't make it, you look at what happened with redistricting, both of the things that Bakari just mentioned, they're already signaling trouble. If you look at what's going to happen on Friday with this presidential visit, unlike the normal 20,000 folks in a hangar routine, it's going to be totally wound down to 600 people, totally selected in a small, hotel conference room. I mean, a lot of signals are coming that they're already sort of backing away. I mean, they may bomb somebody to avoid going down there on Friday. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's getting weird.
Bakari, you want to jump in?
You should know never to go after Mark Sanford, but it is getting weird, and I do believe. And look, I mean, Annie Andrews on the Democratic side has raised $10 million. I mean, you make it a race when you elect someone like Darline Graham, who doesn't have the credentials, who they're basically going to have to put away during the general election and not have her out on the campaign trail. And you have Ralph Norman, who at the end of the day, Ralph Norman actually stands for something. The question that they're going to have about Darline Graham is, what do you stand for? Like, who are you? What do you stand for? You can't just say, I'm going to go up there and support Trump. People know what Ralph Norman stands for. I mean, he's been in the legislature. He's been in Congress. He's been a businessman. And if nothing else, Ralph Norman marches to the beat of his own drummer, and he's conservative as all hell. And so I do think that people know what that is versus the unknown quantity of someone just being someone's sister.
All right, Bakari Sellers, thank you, sir. Always appreciate it. Good to see you.